We spend our lives, chasing it. Happiness, we want it. We yearn for it.
Yeah.
But sometimes nailing it down can feel like trying to bottle sunshine. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what if I told you there's been a study running for, get this, over 80 years, dedicated to cracking that happiness code?
It's true, and they've uncovered some incredible things. We're diving into the Harvard study of adult development. Think of it as this treasure chest of insights into what truly makes for a fulfilling and healthy life. And here's the kicker. They didn't just follow these folks, they followed their children and now their grandchildren. Talk about a multi-generational deep dive.
Okay, so 80 years of data. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So what's the headline? What's the secret sauce to a happy life?
Get ready for this. The Harvard study found something groundbreaking. Close relationships. They're more crucial for a fulfilling life than wealth or status. They're not just nice to have, they're essential.
So it's not about the size of your bank account, it's about the people you share your life with. That's actually really reassuring to hear.
It is. And what makes this finding even more compelling is that it held true across the board, regardless of people's background. Rich, poor, different careers. None of that mattered as much as the strength of their relationships.
Now that's interesting. It's almost like human connection is hardwired into our DNA or something.
Exactly. We are biologically wired for connection. Think about it. When you have strong relationships, you experience less stress. You have better coping mechanisms for when, life throws you curveballs. It impacts you on a physical level, too. They even found that chronic loneliness can be as detrimental to your health as smoking.
Hold on, seriously. Loneliness is that impactful.
It is, and that's what makes this research so relevant to us today. We live in a world where technology promises connection, but ironically, mental health challenges are on the rise. Anxiety, depression, loneliness. It's a real concern.
Yeah. I think we all feel that tension, right? Like we're more connected than ever, yet many of us feel increasingly isolated and stressed.
It's a paradox, and in some ways it's by design. You shared an article that points out how social media algorithms often prioritize negative or divisive content because, sadly, it gets more engagement. It becomes this vicious cycle that fuels anxiety and isolation.
So in a way, we're being hardwired to feel worse. If I'm being honest, that's a bit of a scary thought. It's definitely unsettling. We log off social media hoping for a break, but it's like, bam, real life conversations get hijacked by the same polarizing stuff. It's exhausting.
It is, and it speaks to this underlying current of kind of fear and distrust seeping into society. We're losing sight of our shared humanity. But, you included the story of Dan Harris, the war reporter, and it offers a fascinating counterpoint.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. His story seems like the polar opposite of what we've been discussing, right? He's going into war zones, incredibly high-stress environments, and finding a sense of purpose there. It's almost like an extreme version of seeking connection, even if it's, incredibly dangerous.
It's a fascinating paradox. What's striking is how he talks about the difficulty of returning to normal life after these intense experiences. That adrenaline rush is gone, the shared sense of purpose dissipates. It's a real struggle for a lot of people who've been in those situations, not just war reporters, but soldiers, first responders, anyone who has lived through, extraordinary circumstances.
So what's the takeaway here? Should we all be signing up for high-risk professions to find meaning?
Definitely not. But I think what Harris's story highlights is a universal human need to find meaning, to find purpose. And for a lot of people, that search. It's a real struggle in today's world. We're overloaded with information, overwhelmed with choices. It's easy to feel lost in all the noise.
Okay, so dodging bullets isn't the answer. So what is? How do we tap into that sense of purpose, that connection, in a healthy, sustainable way?
Well, it's interesting you should ask that because Dan Harris actually found his answer in mindfulness.
Wait, really? The war reporter turned meditation guru. That's quite the plot twist.
It is, and it speaks to the power of this practice. Mindfulness at its core is about being present in this moment. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It's like hitting the pause button on your sort of autopilot reactions and choosing how you respond to the world around you.
So instead of getting swept up in negativity online or off here, you're learning to kind of take a step back and observe.
Exactly. And when you do that, something really interesting happens. You start to see things more clearly. You realize you have a choice in how you react to things.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful, especially in our, hyper-connected world. But how does this tie back to happiness and relationships, the ideas we started with?
That's a great question. Mindfulness helps you become more aware of yourself, yes, but it also makes you more aware of others, more empathetic, more compassionate. And when you combine that with social emotional learning, or SEL, that's where things get really interesting.
SEO. Okay, now you're just using acronyms to sound smart. Tell me more.
Haha, fair enough. Social emotional learning is all about giving people, especially kids, the tools to understand and manage their emotions, build healthy relationships, and make responsible decisions.
So, like teaching empathy and communication skills. That stuff should be mandatory, shouldn't it?
You'd think so. And thankfully, a lot of schools are starting to recognize its importance. Imagine a generation growing up equipped to handle conflict constructively, navigate challenging emotions, and build strong, healthy relationships. That's a future I think we all want to see.
And that does sound promising, but let's be real, there's a lot of work to be done to get there. What can people listening do to, actually make a difference?
That's the million-dollar question,
Yeah.
isn't it? And I think it starts with each of us taking responsibility, right, for our own well-being and the well-being of our communities. Start small. Try a mindfulness app. There are so many out there. Explore SEL resources. See if your child's school incorporates it into its curriculum. Even just putting down the phone more and having a real conversation with someone. These seemingly small things, they can have a ripple effect.
It's like these radical acts of human connection. We need a hashtag for that. But seriously, like you said earlier, this isn't just about individual happiness, is it? It's about cultivating a healthier, more connected society.
Precisely. And I think that's what makes the Harvard study so powerful. It's not just about the individual lives they followed, it's about understanding the trends, the patterns that point to a more fulfilling, meaningful existence for everyone.
And here's what really struck me. This study has been running for 80 years. That means these folks lived through times of incredible upheaval, world wars, recessions, social and political divides that make today's headlines look, well, frankly, tame. And through it all, that constant remained the power of connection.
Yeah. It's a testament to just how fundamental human connection is to our well-being.
It really is.
And it makes you think, are we at a turning point now? With all the challenges we face, and we've unpacked a few today, will we retreat further into division and isolation? Or will we seize this moment to rediscover the power of connection, of empathy, and build a more compassionate and resilient future? That's the question we all have to grapple with.
It's a powerful question. And if I can borrow a well-worn phrase, I think the answer really is up to each and every one of us. What will your answer be? That's something to reflect on, and more importantly, to act on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.